what will the people of 2073, we're looking 50 years out, what will people of 2073 look back at what we're doing today and just shake their heads at in disbelief? Can't believe they're, well, whatever practices you have in mind.
I mean, the thing that immediately comes to mind for me is single-use products and single-use packaging. I mean, already it is astounding if someone were to be in their home and they're drinking water from a plastic bottle and throwing it away when they have running water at home. I mean, that already is crazy to even think about, and yet people do that. And I think 50 years from now, the people of the future will look back and see how many things we packaged in such a way that was just so wildly wasteful. I mean, think about the last package that you got delivered at home and how much packaging there was around it, as opposed to just having it shipped in less packaging. Think about the last product that you bought that had one of those impenetrable plastic packaging things that you couldn't open, even though you had like 3 pairs of scissors and a pair of knives. In addition to all the plastic bottles and all of those sorts of things. I mean, I think that right now, there are already people who are creating ways to do what's called waste-free packaging. We had an entire chapter about it in the book. And the fact that those are not catching on and that everyone's not using those, to me, is crazy. And I think 50 years from now, people will look back and say, I don't understand. I just don't.
Why are our regulators not making a greater effort on this? Because I agree with you. This is one of the things that's so obvious to me that we are doing wrong right now, but they're so ubiquitous everywhere you look. You go to the grocery store, single-use packaging, and it doesn't need to be.
I think one of the major, I mean, this is me putting on my marketing and communications and persuasion hat, right? So I've spent a long time working in the marketing industry. And I think that the reason why anything doesn't get done in this sense is because there are a lot of communicators in the world who understand deeply the technique of distraction. And so anytime anything becomes a priority, they will talk about how something else should also be a priority. And they'll distract the people who should be focused on making that change. And they'll shift the public attention, and then nothing gets done. And you can literally look at anything. You can look at environmental controls, you can look at gun control, you can look at any of these topics, and you will see a clear pattern of someone making some sort of big deal. Let's say there's a big tragic school shooting and everyone's calling for something. And then they change the story. And the story is no longer that it's too easy to access guns. The story is, why don't teachers have guns so that they can protect the students? And there's your distraction. And now all of a sudden the cycle changes and no one does anything. So I think that the people who are able to impact that change, they have to be able to focus on what that change should be. And that just hasn't happened.
When I'm thinking about the future, I often think about, I use plastic as a reference point. So your idea of single-use products is, really near and dear to my thinking. When plastics were created, an incredible invention, right? Saved lots of lives, have made life better in many, many ways. But people should have known that these things are not biodegrading and that we need a plan in place. 50 years ago, we should have known this, right? And we should have been simultaneously creating a plan for what we're going to do with these things. How can we reuse them, whatever. But we didn't. We just threw them away. So I think about, what are the plastics of today? And I wonder if you have any ideas of what the plastics of today are. One of my ideas is data, and just how we're freely giving away data about ourselves without thinking about the future implications. I wonder if you agree with that, and if you have any other analogies of what the plastics of today are.
Infrastructure is the new plastic. And what I mean by that is the way we're designing our cities, our towns, everything from bridges to buildings to roads, is being done with not as future leaning technology as it could be. and not as future thinking as it could be. And as soon as you build a road or a bridge, how long is that going to stick around for? Right. And there's famous examples, again, from the world of diversity, of designs of cities that were intentionally created in a way to keep segregation in place. And so there was bridges built in certain cities where the bridge was too low, and therefore buses couldn't actually go under it, and so you couldn't get people who were using buses off to one area of the town. And so you basically prevented poor people from going to a certain area. And I think that when you systematize those types of things, and they can't change for 50 years because you're not going to rebuild the bridge until it's really falling apart. I mean, that's the new plastic. I mean, that doesn't go away. It's not like you can shift it with one legislative cycle and have a new president come in or have a new whomever come in and fix it, because these things are fixed. So infrastructure is the new plastic.